The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning at Earth's Deep Space Listening Station. Tom Baker, the night shift operator, almost missed it among the usual background noise of space. But there it was, a clear, repeating pattern that couldn't be mistaken for random cosmic radiation. "Control, this is Baker at Station 7. He spoke into his microphone, trying to keep his voice steady. "I think you need to see this." Within hours, the best code breakers and scientists on Earth gathered to decipher the alien message. The signal contained mathematical sequences, simple pictures, and finally, a desperate plea for help. The aliens called themselves the Bright Folk. Their message, once decoded, painted a grim picture. Their home star, after billions of years of stability, had begun to die. Unlike Earth's sun, theirs was larger and nearing the end of its life cycle much faster than expected. Their scientists estimated less than 30 years before it would explode in a devastating supernova, destroying their entire civilization. In the United Space Coalition's emergency meeting room, 50 representatives from Earth's major spacefaring nations sat in stunned silence as Director Wilson played the translated message. "We are a peaceful race," the alien message stated in its carefully translated form. "Our civilization has existed for over 10,000 of your Earth years. We have achieved much in art, science, and philosophy. But we never developed the means for large-scale space travel. Our focus remained on exploring our vast oceans, not the stars above. Now we face extinction. If any advanced civilization receives this message, we ask for help. We have much to offer in exchange for sanctuary." The room erupted in heated discussion. Some representatives argued that Earth had its own problems to solve. Others saw it as humanity's moral duty to help. A few worried about the security risks of inviting an alien civilization to Earth's doorstep. "Ladies and gentlemen," Director Wilson's voice cut through the chaos. "This is arguably the most important decision humanity has ever faced. We have the technology to help. The question is, will we?" Professor Mary Thompson, Earth's leading xenobiologist, stepped forward to present her initial findings. "The data they've sent shows they're a fascinating species. Bioluminescent, adapted to high-pressure environments. They evolved in deep oceans, much like the early life on Earth. Their biology is different from ours, but not incompatible with Earth's ecosystem." The debate raged for 3 days. News of the alien message leaked to the public, causing both excitement and fear. Religious leaders called for compassion. Military advisors urged caution. Scientists saw an unprecedented opportunity for advancement. Finally, the coalition reached its decision. Director Wilson stood before the world's media, cameras flashing as he prepared to announce humanity's response. The whole world held its breath, waiting to learn how they would answer this cosmic cry for help. "Today, we have chosen to extend a hand of friendship across the stars," he began. "The United Space Coalition, with support from all Earth's nations, has voted to assist the Bright Folk civilization. We will not stand idle while an intelligent, peaceful species faces extinction, not when we have the means to help." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Project Safe Haven begins today. We will send our best scientists and engineers to assess the situation and develop a rescue plan." The Bright Folk's message showed us that despite their advanced age as a civilization, they chose to develop in different ways than we did. Where we reached for the stars, they explored their oceans. Now, our different paths may prove to be the key to their salvation. As the announcement concluded, humanity began its greatest undertaking yet. Ships were prepared, plans were drawn, and a new chapter in human history began. For the first time, humans would step forward not as explorers or conquerors, but as saviors. The message they sent back to the Bright Folk was simple. "We hear you. We're coming to help. Hold on." In the depths of space, traveling at the speed of light, humanity's promise of salvation raced toward a dying star and a civilization that waited with hope. 3 months after Earth's promise to help, The first human assessment team approached the Bright Folks home system. The ship Hope Seeker carried Earth's finest experts in marine science, engineering, and space travel. Commander Jack stood at the bridge window, watching as the alien sun grew larger, its unstable surface already showing signs of the coming disaster. "Sensors confirm what they told us," said Dr. Mark, the team's lead scientist, studying his screens. "The star's core is collapsing faster than normal. We have maybe 25 years, not 30. The ship's first sight of the Bright Folks world took everyone's breath away. Unlike Earth's blue and white surface, this planet glowed with deep purple oceans under a dark red sky. Massive floating cities dotted the seas, connected by glowing transport tubes that created webs of light across the water. When the Hope Seeker entered orbit, the Bright Folk sent up their only space vessel to meet them. It was beautiful but small, clearly meant for research rather than long-distance travel. Through the viewing windows, the humans got their first look at the aliens they'd come to save. The Bright Folk were tall, graceful beings that seemed to flow rather than walk. Their skin glowed with patterns of soft blue and green light, pulsing gently as they moved. They had no eyes as humans knew them, instead sensing their world through light and vibration. "They're amazing," whispered Dr. Lisa, the team's marine biologist. "Perfect for deep ocean life. No wonder they never focused on space travel. Their bodies are designed for the pressures of deep water, not the vacuum of space." The first meeting between the species happened through a specially designed communication chamber. The Bright Folk filled their side with water, while the humans remained in air, separated by a clear barrier. The alien's chief scientist, who the humans called Blue, for his predominantly blue bioluminescence, pressed his hand against the barrier in greeting. The next 2 weeks were filled with intense study. The human team discovered that the Bright Folks' civilization lived primarily in the deep oceans, with only their transport and energy collection systems reaching the surface. Their cities extended kilometers down into darkness that would crush most Earth submarines. "This is both a problem and a solution," Commander Jack told Earth during his report. "We can't move them to just any planet. They need specific conditions: deep oceans, high pressure, and certain chemical compositions in the water. But we have exactly what they need." Dr. Lisa stepped forward with her findings. "Earth's Mariana Trench and other deep ocean trenches are perfect. The pressure, darkness, and conditions match their needs almost exactly. Even better, these are areas we barely use. We can save their entire civilization by giving them homes in our deepest oceans." The Bright Folk were amazed by the humans' quick understanding and problem-solving. When shown the data about Earth's oceans, their light patterns danced with hope for the first time since the humans arrived. "Our ancestors always told us the deep was safe," Blue communicated through the translation system. "They were right. The deep will save us again, just on another world." But the assessment team also found challenges. The Bright Folks' population of 3 billion would require massive underwater construction projects on Earth. Their biology, while similar to deep-sea life on Earth, would need careful monitoring to ensure they could thrive in Earth's oceans. And the biggest challenge: moving 3 billion people across space before their sun exploded. As the Hope Seeker prepared to return to Earth with their findings, Commander Jack made one final recording for the project records. "What we found here isn't just a civilization in need. We found a species that reminds us of our own past, when we first looked up at the stars. They explored the deep while we explored space. Now those different choices will let us help each other. The assessment is clear. We can save them. And we must." The real work was about to begin. Earth had never seen construction work on this scale before. In the Pacific Ocean, thousands of ships gathered above the Mariana Trench. Giant floating platforms held the machinery needed to build an underwater civilization 7 miles beneath the waves. Project Deepwater was officially underway. Lead engineer Alice watched from the control room as the first huge habitat module was slowly lowered into the dark waters. Each module was the size of a small city, built to withstand the crushing pressures of the deep ocean. Special lights lined their surfaces, designed to let the bright folk communicate through their natural bioluminescence. Module 1 reaching depth milestone, reported the tracking system. 6,000 meters, 7,000, 8,000. The whole room held their breath. No human structure had ever been permanently placed so deep before. The pressure at that depth could crush a submarine like an empty soda can. 10,000 meters, the system announced. Module 1 has reached target depth. All systems normal. The room erupted in cheers. Alice wiped tears from her eyes as she watched the readings. "Send word to the bright folk," she said. "Their first city on Earth is ready for testing." The test team included both humans in special deep-pressure suits and a small group of bright folk volunteers. The aliens moved through the water with incredible grace, their bodies glowing with patterns that the human scientists had learned meant excitement and hope. Inside the module, the bright folk discovered something unexpected. The immense pressure that humans found crushing felt like a comfortable embrace to them. The cold, dark waters reminded them of home. "This is better than we hoped," Blue communicated to the human team. "The water composition is different from our home, but our bodies are already adapting. We can live here." Over the next 6 months, more modules were lowered into different ocean trenches around Earth. Each one was connected by transport tubes, similar to the ones the bright folk had used on their homeworld. Humans provided the heavy construction and power systems, while the bright folk added their own technology to make the habitats feel like home. But not everything went smoothly. During the installation of the 5th module, a power failure caused the structure to drop too quickly. The emergency would have been a disaster, if not for the bright folk themselves. Dozens of them swam out into the dark water, their bodies glowing so brightly they lit up the ocean depths. Working together with the human rescue teams, they managed to stabilize the falling module and guide it safely to its foundation. Not a single life was lost. The incident proved something important. The project would succeed not just because of human technology, but because both species worked together. The bright folk's natural abilities in deep water complemented human engineering perfectly. Earth's news channels ran constant updates on the project. Children in schools learned about the new cities being built in the deep. Some humans even started learning to understand the bright folk's light-based language. "Look at this," Alice said one evening, showing her team a video from one of the completed habitats. A group of human children in a pressurized observation room were communicating through light patterns with young bright folk on the other side of the window. Both species had picked up each other's ways of expression. The first major test came when 1,000 bright folk families moved into the completed habitats. They brought their culture, their technology, and their hope for the future. The deep ocean trenches of Earth, once the darkest and most lonely places on the planet, began to glow with alien light. Commander Jack, now overseeing the project from the surface, recorded in his log, "Today marks the real beginning of Operation Safe Haven. We're no longer just building houses, we're building a future where 2 species share one world. The bright folk are teaching us as much as we're helping them. In trying to save them, we're discovering new things about ourselves. Maybe that's the greatest gift of this whole project." In orbit, the first fleet of transport ships was preparing for the main evacuation. The real challenge was about to begin. Earth's entire space fleet assembled near the moon, creating a sight that would be remembered for generations. 500 massive ships, each modified to carry thousands of bright folk in specially designed water tanks. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Captain Bill stood on the bridge of the lead ship, Ocean Voyager, reviewing the final checklist. Each ship needed to make at least 6 round trips to evacuate all 3 billion bright folk. Time was precious. Their dying sun grew more unstable each day. "All ships report ready," his first officer announced. "Fleet is going to jump in 3, 2, 1. In a flash of light, the massive fleet disappeared into hyperspace. The greatest rescue mission in human history had begun. The first sight of the bright folks' homeworld showed how much worse things had gotten. Their sun now pulsed an angry red, sending out massive solar flares that lit up space. The ocean planet's protective shields, built with human help, barely held back the increasing radiation. "Begin loading sequence," Bill ordered. "Remember, smooth and steady. These people are trusting us with their lives." The bright folk had prepared well. Their people gathered in massive underwater assembly points, organized by family groups. Special transport tubes, developed by both species working together, moved them from their ocean into the ship's holding tanks. Inside the tanks, the scene was beautiful and sad at the same time. Thousands of bright folk floated in the water, their bodies glowing with swirling patterns of blue and green that showed their mix of hope and fear. Children stayed close to their parents, their lights pulsing in sync. "First wave loaded," reported the fleet's computer. "All life support systems stable, ready for jump." The return trip to Earth seemed to take forever. The ship's crews watched over their passengers carefully. Some bright folk were so scared they stopped glowing completely. Others kept their lights bright, trying to comfort those around them. But there were also moments of wonder. Human crew members found themselves mesmerized by the bright folks' light songs, which filled the water tanks with moving patterns of color. The aliens were singing their ancient stories, passing them on to their children even as they left their old world behind. Back on Earth, the first wave of refugees moved into their new homes in the deep ocean trenches. The sight of thousands of glowing beings descending into the dark water amazed the human observers. Where Earth's oceans had once been empty and black, now rivers of living light flowed through the depths. "Second wave ready for pickup," came the call, and the fleet jumped back. Again and again they made the journey, each time racing against the clock as the dying sun grew more dangerous. During the fourth run, a massive solar flare hit just as loading was finishing. The shields protecting the planet flickered dangerously. "We can't wait," Bill shouted. "Emergency jump now." The fleet escaped just as the shield failed. When they returned for the next wave, they found the planet's surface scorched, but the deep oceans had protected the remaining bright folk. The migration continued day after day, week after week. Earth's oceans gradually filled with alien light as more bright folk arrived. The new residents quickly made themselves useful, helping to build more habitats and teaching humans about deep ocean survival. 3 months into the operation, the fleet made its final jump. The last group of bright folk included their leaders and historians, who had stayed behind to make sure everyone else got out first. As the last transport tube disconnected from their dying world, Blue, who had been the first to welcome humans, was the last to leave. His glow pattern showed a complex mix of gratitude and goodbye. "Our ancestors believed the deep ocean would always protect us," he communicated to Bill. "They were right, but they never imagined it would be the oceans of another world." The fleet made its final jump home, leaving behind a world that would soon be destroyed. But they carried with them an entire civilization, saved not just by human technology, but by human compassion. The warning came without notice. Earth's deep space sensors detected a massive surge in the bright folks' dying sun. What had been predicted to take months was now happening in hours. The star was entering its final death throes. "We still have 50,000 bright folk to evacuate," Captain Bill reported to Earth Command. The Ocean Voyager and 5 other ships were preparing for what they thought would be a routine final pickup. Now it had become a desperate race against time. Director Wilson's face was grim on the communication screen. "The star's core is collapsing. Our scientists say we have less than 10 hours before it goes supernova. That's not enough time for a safe evacuation. Request permission to try anyway," Bill said, his voice firm. "We didn't come this far to abandon them now." There was a long pause. "Permission granted. But Bill, make it count." The 6 ships jumped into a scene from Nightmare. The dying sun filled half the sky, its surface boiling with massive solar flares. The ocean planet's surface was already beginning to boil from the intense heat. "Radiation shields at maximum," Bill ordered. "Begin emergency loading procedures. We're not leaving anyone behind." Down in the deep oceans, The remaining bright folk had gathered in the last surviving transport station. Most were scientists, engineers, and archivists who had stayed behind to help others escape. Their light patterns flickered with fear as the ocean above them started to heat up. The human ships lowered their transport tubes, but the increasing solar activity made it difficult to maintain stable connections. Twice, the tubes snapped from solar wind pressure, and human repair crews had to work in spacesuits to fix them while being bombarded by radiation. Hull temperature rising, reported the ship's computer. Shields failing on decks 3 through 7. Inside the transport tubes, bright folk moved as fast as they could, their bodies glowing bright with panic. Human crew members worked alongside them, ignoring the rising radiation levels to help the aliens board safely. Halfway through the evacuation, a massive solar flare hit the planet directly. The impact sent shockwaves through the ocean, damaging the transport station. "The station is flooding," came the cry from below. "The pressure chambers are failing." Without hesitation, Bill made a decision that would be remembered in history books. "All crews in pressure suits, prepare for deep water rescue. We're going in after them." 20 human crew members dove into the heated alien ocean. The pressure at that depth was dangerous, even in their best suits, but they pushed on. They found the bright folk trapped behind a collapsed section of the station. What happened next showed the true spirit of both species. The bright folk used their natural ability to survive deep pressure to help clear the debris, while humans used their technology to create a new path to the surface. Working together, they found a way. "Last group coming up now," reported the rescue team. "But the tubes won't survive another solar flare." Bill looked at the readings. The star was entering its final phase. They had minutes, not hours. "Everyone hang on," he ordered. "Emergency jump on my mark." The ship's engines screamed as they powered up. The last transport tube was still connected, still bringing up the final group of refugees when the order came. "Jump. Now." In a flash of light, the ships vanished, just as a wall of fire from the dying sun reached the planet's surface. They reappeared near Earth, their hulls glowing red from heat, their systems badly damaged. But in their holds, 50,000 bright folk were safe. Not a single life had been lost. Later, in the medical bay, human crew members and bright folk recovered together. Their bodies glowed with different kinds of light. The aliens with their natural bioluminescence, the humans with the radiation they'd absorbed during the rescue. But they were alive, and they had succeeded. "Why?" one of the bright folk asked Bill through the translator. "Why risk your lives for us?" Bill thought about it for a moment. "Because that's what humans do. When we see someone in trouble, we help. It's who we are." The bright folks' response was a pattern of lights that humans would later learn meant, "Now we understand why the universe led us to you." 1 year after the Great Evacuation, Earth's oceans had changed forever. The deep trenches that once marked the darkest places on the planet now glowed with the light of an alien civilization. 3 billion bright folk had made their home in Earth's seas, turning the absolute darkness into rivers of living light. Dr. Lisa stood at the window of Deep Ocean Research Station 7, watching the spectacular light show below. The bright folk were celebrating their first year on Earth with a festival of lights. Millions of them swam in careful patterns, their bodies glowing in synchronized colors that turned the ocean into a living rainbow. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" asked Blue, who had become the chief ambassador between the two species. He floated in a water-filled observation chamber next to the human areas. His light patterns showed the joy he felt at his people's recovery. "More than beautiful," Lisa replied, watching as young bright folk children played games with their light patterns. "It's like having cities of stars under our oceans." The integration of the two species had brought challenges and surprises. The bright folk's natural ability to survive in extreme depths had led to amazing discoveries. Working together with human scientists, they had found new resources, new species, and new ways to understand Earth's oceans. In the newly built Underwater Science Academy, human students learned to understand the bright folk's light language, while young bright folk studied human technology. The two species discovered they complemented each other perfectly. Humans with their technology and surface adaptations, the bright folk with their deep water abilities and understanding of ocean environments. "Professor coming through," called a voice from the corridor. A group of young bright folk swam past in their water-filled tunnel, following the human teacher who walked alongside in the dry section. They were headed to biology class, where they would learn about both Earth and bright folk life forms. The biggest surprise had come from the ocean itself. The bright folks' presence had actually helped Earth's marine ecosystem. Their cities were designed to work with the ocean currents, not against them. Their light patterns attracted new forms of life, creating thriving communities around their settlements. "Look there," Blue pointed with a tendril of light. In the distance, a pod of whales swam near a bright folk transport tube. The huge animals seemed fascinated by the alien lights, often spending hours swimming alongside the glowing structures. But the most remarkable changes were happening in technology. Human engineers and bright folk scientists worked together in special labs, combining their knowledge. They had already developed new ways to clean the oceans, better systems for underwater power generation, and improved methods for deep-sea exploration. "Remember when we first arrived?" Blue asked, his lights showing a pattern of thoughtful remembrance. "We were so scared, so unsure if we could survive here. Now look at us." Lisa nodded. The bright folk had done more than survive. They had thrived. Their population was growing again, their culture was flourishing, and they had become an essential part of Earth's global community. In the depths near the Mariana Trench, construction was finishing on the new underwater United Nations building. It was designed to be accessible to both species, with dry areas for humans and water-filled chambers for the bright folk. Here, the two species would work together to make decisions about their shared world. "The children give me the most hope," Lisa said, watching a group of human kids in diving suits playing light tag with young bright folk. The human children wore special light-emitting suits to join in the bright folks' games. They don't see different species. They just see friends. As night fell on the surface, the ocean depths lit up even more brightly. The bright folk cities glowed like underwater constellations, their light patterns telling stories of both their old home and their new one. From space, astronauts reported that Earth's oceans now sparkled with points of light, as if reflecting a second set of stars. "We lost our first home," Blue communicated, his lights forming the pattern for gratitude. "But we found something better, not just a new home, but new friends, new purpose, and new hope." The Festival of Lights continued below, celebrating not just survival, but the beginning of something entirely new in human history. Two species learning to share one world. 10 years had passed since the Great Rescue. On this special night, humans and bright folk gathered together at observatories around the world. They were waiting for a light from the past, the final flash of the bright folk's dying sun, which had finally gone supernova. The light from that explosion had taken 10 years to reach Earth. Commander Jack, now Admiral Jack, stood at the main observatory in Hawaii. Next to him, in a water-filled chamber, floated Blue and several other bright folk leaders. They all watched the sky, waiting. There, someone whispered. A new point of light appeared in the night sky, growing brighter by the second. The bright folk's old sun gave its final performance, becoming briefly brighter than Earth's full moon. Blue's light patterns showed complex emotions, sadness for what was lost, but also gratitude for what had been gained. The bright folk children born on Earth watched the light show with curiosity, having never known their species' original home. In the decades since the rescue, both species had changed in remarkable ways. The bright folk had mastered space travel, modifying human ship designs to include their water-based technology. Their first self-built spacecraft now patrolled Earth's oceans from above, helping to protect their new home. Deep in the Pacific Ocean, the underwater cities had grown into a vast network of glowing metropolises. Humans had built hundreds of underwater research stations and living spaces, learning to spend longer periods in the deep thanks to bright folk biotechnology. The two species work together seamlessly now, each making up for the other's limitations. Admiral, called a young officer. The Deep Space Fleet is reporting in. On screens around the observatory, images appeared from ships across the galaxy. After learning space travel, the bright folk had joined humans in exploring the stars. Their unique abilities made them perfect for exploring water-covered worlds that humans found difficult to reach. But the biggest changes had happened on Earth itself. The oceans, once mysterious and largely unexplored, had become a second surface for human civilization. Bright folk light technology had revolutionized underwater navigation and construction. Their understanding of deep ocean environments had helped humans clean up pollution and restore damaged marine ecosystems. "Look at that," Jack said, pointing to a group of children at the observatory. Human kids wearing special diving suits swam in a water tank with young bright folk, all of them watching the supernova together. That's the real legacy right there. The children were part of the new Two Worlds education program, where young humans and bright folk learned together. They grew up speaking both human languages and understanding bright folk light patterns. To them, having two intelligent species on Earth was normal. As the supernova's light began to fade, Blue turned to Jack. His light patterns formed words that had become familiar to humans over the years. "Our old son's death marks the end of our past. But look what grew from it." He was right. The rescue mission had changed both species forever. Humans had learned that their greatest strength wasn't their technology or their determination, but their willingness to help others in need. The bright folk had shown that losing everything didn't mean the end. Sometimes it was just the beginning of something better. In the depths of Earth's oceans, billions of bright folk turned their lights to the surface, creating a display visible from space. Their light patterns told the story of two different species, learning to live as one people, of fear turned to hope, of strangers becoming family. The supernova's light faded from the sky, but Earth's oceans continued to glow with the light of a living, thriving civilization. Human astronauts often said that Earth now looked like it had two kinds of stars, those that sparkled in space above, and those that glowed in the depths below. As the observation event ended, Admiral Jack made one final entry in the official record. 10 years ago, we thought we were just saving another species. We didn't realize we were actually building a better future for everyone. The light of that future now shines in every ocean on Earth, and from there, out to the stars themselves.